Alrighty, so the Wim Hof method, as we know, does boost your immune. And I think I've told you guys before that I've certainly gone well over a year now without catching any colds. Now, all this, I think it's worth me stating that I am a father with a toddler, and those parents out there will know that children bring home a lot of germs and illnesses, and unless you follow a certain regimen, unless you're particularly lucky, usually you catch whatever illness they have. And over the last year, certainly my son has come home with at least 3 or 4 colds. My wife has caught them, but I've managed to see them off at the pass, you might say. So I've not caught them. However, something interesting occurred in the last couple of weeks. So my son, although we didn't know at the time, suffered flu about two or 3 weeks ago. And at the time, I think we just assumed it was another cold. And there were moments, so he's 4, I feel a little bit guilty. There were moments where we were saying to him, come on, it's just a cold, let's go outside and have some fun. Poor little thing was wanting to, or preferring just to sit on the sofa and watch TV. It was only when my wife then caught the flu that we then realized how big a thing this was. So my wife had been bedridden really for a good 5 days. She's still, and this is now the 2nd week, my wife is still experiencing a real low in sort of energy and overall health. So, you know, this is kind of a good, strong flu. Now, during this, I had, of course, been engaging with lots of other folk about the wonders of the Wim Hof method and the fact that I could be around all this illness knowing that my immune system had been boosted and that I wouldn't catch it. And in fact, I was telling a homeopath the other day, actually, somebody in the village, about this, and she opened up an interesting conversation and she said, you know, it is actually quite good to catch colds and the flu, etc., because it engages your T cells. Now, T cells, if you don't know, the T stands or derives from the gland in which they're produced, so the thymus gland, and it's those T cells that are the hunter cells. They're the ones that go out in through the body, and they seek out infected cells and destroy them. So she said, yeah, it's good because it engages those T cells. Now, I then opened this debate up in the Tribe of Evolutionaries, the Facebook group that I've created, and that opened up quite a debate. The wonderful thing about the group already, I think just over a month in now, is that within the group we've got many different practitioners, traditional Western medicine practitioners to osteopaths to followers of various other methods, all coming together in this group. And what it means is that when I put out a statement such as, is it good to get a cold because it engages your T cells, then we get a nice lively debate. One of the things that one of the folk in the group mentioned, which I thought was really interesting, is that she said, you may well experience times where you kind of almost get the onset of a cold and then it disappears. And she said, that is therefore your T cells being kicked into action and killing off those infected cells. So the body is sort of about to go in through about to engage in illness, but the T cells are obviously then boosted through the body and they get rid of those infected cells. And that kind of got me thinking, because throughout last week, I don't mind telling you, there were a few days where I just didn't quite feel right psychologically and from an energy perspective as well. You know, something was going on inside. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I assumed it was through the foods that I'd eaten. And then on Friday, I definitely had the onset of what you could call cold-like symptoms. A runny nose, a bit sniffly. This continued into Saturday. And this is where I think it becomes really interesting. So what that tells me is this. Yes, the Wim Hof method absolutely creates a boost to your immune system via all the various different ways that I've described in my videos before. And doubtless, somebody like Wim Hof could very easily fight off any illness, it would seem. He's certainly been in lab conditions to prove that. Now, either I'm not at his level, which is fair, or everybody that practices the Wim Hof method will have these moments where they are exposed to something really strong, such as the flu. And whilst they don't absolutely catch the flu, so I haven't caught it, I would like to think now I'm over the contagious period. But my T cells have obviously had to kick into action, because those days where I felt a little bit off, and then of course the days where I had cold-like symptoms, were my T cells dealing with that flu infection. And thankfully I can still talk to you right now knowing I don't have the same flu condition that my wife had been suffering, because had that been the case, I would be doing a video in bed. So really interesting, this one, I think, for me, because I think it's further proof to the Wim Hof method. Because most parents will tell you if there is flu in the household, everybody gets it. It is a strong bug, and it's only getting stronger nowadays, I think. Especially as for many people, our bodies are weakening. And of course they're weakening because of our environment, because of the foods we're eating, because of the antibiotics that we're taking. And it's only natural methods like this that strengthen our physicality, our physiology, our immune, etc. Which is why I do it. Anyway, I still haven't got my wife to do the full Wim Hof method. I wonder now whether, having her, poor thing, having had her experience the flu, whether she will now do it. Anyway, Evolution of Dave signing off. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.